Imagine it's 11:47 at night. Tomorrow is your biggest deadline. Your laptop is open. Your work is still unfinished. And you promised yourself days ago that this time you wouldn't wait until the last minute. Yet somehow, instead of working, you spent hours scrolling through social media, watching videos, cleaning your room, replying to messages that weren't important, or doing almost anything except the one thing that actually mattered. Now your heart is racing, stress is taking over, and guilt is beginning to replace comfort. The strange thing is, you knew this would happen. You knew delaying your work would only make tomorrow harder, but you still couldn't force yourself to start. Why? Why do intelligent people repeatedly postpone the very things that could improve their lives? Most people think procrastination is simply laziness, but psychology tells us something completely different. Procrastination is rarely about being lazy. It's about avoiding uncomfortable emotions. The real battle isn't between working and resting. It's between temporary comfort and temporary discomfort. Your brain isn't asking what will help me in the future. Instead, it's asking what feels better right now. And that single question quietly controls millions of lives every day. The human brain was never designed for deadlines, exams, business meetings, or long-term career planning. It evolved in a world where immediate survival mattered far more than future success. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors faced predators, hunger, disease, and dangerous environments. In that world, paying attention to immediate threats kept people alive. Thinking about next month's problems wasn't nearly as important as escaping today's danger. Evolution rewarded brains that focused on the present moment. That ancient wiring still exists inside you today. The problem is that modern life asks your brain to care about future rewards. You study today for an exam weeks later. Exercise today for a healthier body months later. You work today for money you'll receive next month. Unfortunately, your brain naturally values immediate rewards much more than delayed ones. This psychological tendency is known as temporal discounting. A few minutes of entertainment feels more rewarding than hours of difficult work because the pleasure happens immediately while the benefits of working seem distant and uncertain. Every time you choose comfort over effort, your brain receives instant relief, and that relief quietly reinforces the habit of procrastination. Many people believe they procrastinate because they lack motivation, but motivation is often the result of action rather than its cause. We imagine that successful people wake up feeling inspired every morning, but reality is usually the opposite. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation. Unfortunately, your brain predicts that starting a difficult task will be painful. Before you even begin, your imagination exaggerates how exhausting, boring, or frustrating the work will be. The task grows larger in your mind than it actually is. The longer you delay it, the more intimidating it becomes. Eventually, the project feels so overwhelming that even thinking about it creates anxiety. Your brain interprets that anxiety as a threat and immediately searches for an escape. That escape might be your phone, YouTube, gaming, food, or even another task that feels productive but isn't actually important. The short term, avoiding the difficult task feels wonderful because your anxiety decreases. But your brain learns an extremely dangerous lesson. Whenever discomfort appears, escape it. Without realizing it, procrastination slowly becomes your brain's preferred coping strategy. Fear also plays a much bigger role than most people realize. Many people don't postpone work because they're lazy. They postpone it because they're afraid. Some fear failure, others fear success, and the expectations that come with it. Some fear criticism, embarrassment, rejection, or discovering they aren't as talented as they hoped. Imagine you're writing your first book. As long as you never begin, that book remains perfect inside your imagination. Nobody can criticize it because it doesn't exist yet. But the moment you start writing, reality appears. Mistakes appear. Weak ideas appear. Suddenly, your work becomes vulnerable to judgment. For many people, avoiding the project feels emotionally safer than risking disappointment. Procrastination becomes a shield that protects self-esteem, even though it quietly destroys progress. The longer this pattern continues, the more convincing it becomes. Eventually, people stop saying, "I'm procrastinating," and start saying, "I'm just lazy." What began as a temporary habit slowly becomes part of their identity. And once identity changes, behavior becomes much harder to change because people naturally act according to who they believe they are. Perfectionism quietly makes procrastination even worse. Most people think perfectionists are the hardest workers, but psychology shows that many of them delay important work more than anyone else. Why? Because they don't want to produce something that's merely good. They want it to be perfect. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect idea, the perfect amount of confidence, or the perfect moment to begin. But perfection never arrives. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. And incredible opportunities disappear while they're still waiting to feel ready. The painful truth is that perfection is often just fear wearing a disguise. It feels responsible, but in reality, it's another excuse to avoid uncertainty. Successful people don't wait until they're ready. They begin before they feel ready and improve along the way. Every masterpiece you admire today once started as something imperfect. Another hidden reason we procrastinate is that our brain hates uncertainty. Imagine someone tells you to build a successful business. Where do you even begin? The goal is so huge and so unclear that your brain immediately feels overwhelmed. Now imagine someone tells you, spend the next 15 minutes writing one business idea. Suddenly, the task feels much smaller. The work itself didn't change, only the way it was presented. The brain loves clarity because clarity reduces uncertainty. That's why people delay enormous goals for years. It's not because they're impossible, it's because they're undefined. Your brain sees a mountain instead of the first step. When a task feels too large, your mind naturally searches for something easier to do. Unfortunately, those easier tasks create the illusion of productivity while keeping you stuck exactly where you are.